Get mantra and meditation MP3s at JasonGallant.ca. Today I'm going to talk to you about awareness and how it's really the most important step and the beginning step to every spiritual shift that you make. And so often people expand their awareness with things and issues that are going on in the world, but they don't use their awareness to where it really matters, which is internally. Externally, that's just an ego game. You know, this is wrong with the world, that's wrong with the world, this should happen, that should happen. That's really just the game of the ego, and some of it can be right and fine, and all a part of survival, but it's not going to lead you to enlightenment or freedom or mukti or liberation, the things that people start aspiring towards when they get on the spiritual path. Where the awareness has to happen is inside, in you. What stories are you telling yourself? What feelings are you having around those stories? And are these stories and feelings and sensations freedom to you? The thing is, if you are in suffering and you're being prodded into one direction or another, you're not really using free will in that moment, are you? So that can't be freedom. If suffering is driving you into one situation or away from a situation, and then you take that same flavor of suffering into another situation, and then another situation, guess what? It's something that you're carrying around with you. It isn't the situation's fault. And there's somebody I know right now where she will look at situations and say, oh, this is why I feel that. This is why I feel that. This is why I feel that. I deal with many students, and this is another one of them. They play the spiritual blame game. Instead of going within and saying, okay, how do I become free of this game and these sensations that are going on within? How do I become free of the obligation to listen to them? That's a better way of putting it. The obligation to reacting to them. And that happens with acceptance, an opening of the heart, an absolute commitment to being here with whatever is before you. And you will notice from that acceptance that there is this transformation that happens within. Now, as this transformation happens within, you'll see that your priorities shift, where there is a greater capacity to share love, to share freedom, to share happiness, to be of service in some direction or another. You can't really predict what. Your mind has ideas of what service really is, but your heart will know truly what service is. And service isn't always giving money. It isn't always shoveling your neighbor's driveway or doing the typical nice, polite things that we talk about in Western society. It can be those things, but more often than not, it's a teach a man to fish type of paradigm, where your presence and your freedom assist someone with finding their own. And speaking of awareness, I will look over my shoulder to make sure I'm not being stalked by a cougar because I'm in the middle of the forest. I don't have emotional suffering around that, but I still will use my awareness in the physical world as well because the survival of this body is also dependent upon it. So that's another problem people have with the spiritual world is there was just something that moved in the forest there. There are level confusions that happen. People start to, I will accept everything within. And then on the outside, they stand in front of a truck and they're saying, I'm accepting the truck, but I still have to deal with the repercussions of once the truck rolls over me. So everything I'm speaking about has to do internally within you. And that when you understand the science of what goes on inside you, there can be a tremendous opportunity for a different experience of life and a new level of clarity. With this sharpened clarity, you become more aware of your motives, more aware of what motivates you from a place of suffering and what motivates you from a place of freedom and heart, your natural state. So how do you increase this awareness? Practice. Practice sitting, meditation, being aware, but don't do anything with what you are aware of. Because most of what you are aware of, especially in the beginning, is suffering. It's illusion. It's not reality. It's just stuff moving through you. And a common mistake a lot of spiritual people make, some of them are working with myself right now, is that they become aware of the exhaust fumes of the spiritual path. Now, if you want to fix a car, you don't analyze the exhaust fumes and start playing with the exhaust fumes and moving them around. That's not going to affect the car. The exhaust fumes may show some symptoms of what's going on inside the car, but it's not what you play with or fix in order to cause an effect in the car. There's just an unraveling, a movement of this energy through. Now, the spiritual path is a lot like this, where there are certain spiritual phenomena that you will become aware of, but you're not supposed to do anything with them. You just let them go, just let them pass through. And there's this natural expansion that takes place from this. But first it starts with awareness. Awareness of the phenomena, awareness of I am not this, but this is happening. But I am not this. Don't attach a story. Just be with it, and it naturally transforms in the infinity of you. You see, you can only see what you are separate from. But once you become one with something, you can no longer see that something. If I asked you to look at one of the molecules in your knee, you probably would have a hard time with that. I know it's a bad metaphor, but it's similar to that. As it's said in satsang circles, the eyeball cannot see itself. So the doorway of spiritual phenomena is what you step through, but you do not attach to it, you don't look for it, you don't try to create it, because it's nothing more than exhaust fumes. In the end, everything leads to here. And you become so deeply here that you realize that you have missed out in a lot of details that have been happening right before your eyes all of your life, on all levels. And this is a continual process. So as all spiritual masters say, you start at the beginning again. You're constantly a beginner, constantly open and vulnerable to truth and vulnerable to the reality before you. And it dictates what reality is, not you. Your only job is to receive it and to be aware. And to enjoy, because that's naturally the side effect of receptivity. And if you want to work on your receptivity, chant the Venus mantra, that really helps. So I hope this helps you out on your spiritual journey. Take care for now.